Okay, is everybody here? How do we know? I don't know. Okay, first of all, I'd like to thank you for being here, and definitely in view of the nice weather outside and having had lunch, which is a bigger challenge even than just coming here in the morning. This afternoon, so after this morning, we had the presentation from our colleagues from the mobile side. This afternoon we're going to focus on the new Pioneer products that belong to the home environment. There are quite many of them, so we'll try to anyway be a little bit short on most of the subjects. You will receive at the end of the day a goodie bag, as it's called. It's black, it smells a bit. Some people like the smell, some people don't. But what's in the bag is not so much or not so very important, except for one thing, that's a memory stick that will have the presentations. On this memory stick you will find much more details, of course, than what I will be talking about today. I don't want to take too much of your time. Nevertheless, I will go through all of the categories briefly. We'll also try to find some time to do some demonstrations, some experience, and that will be done or assisted by Yaeguchi-san, who is from our head office in Japan and came over especially for this occasion, to please you and please me. Thank you, Yaeguchi-san. Okay, let's start with the most heavy and big products which we do have, and that's the AV receiver category, though we also have a slim product in there in that lineup. This slide I'm going to show just once, but I have to promise myself that I will always show it at every occasion, and that basically says that some of the content in the presentations, and since you will receive the presentation afterwards, may be subject to copyrights, or there may be some preliminary information in there. I assume, since you're from the press, you know that some images you can't just reproduce without checking copyrights. But if it's Pioneer products, that's not a problem. On the sticks there will also be additional photos and so, but please be careful about things that might be copyrighted. Going to the next slide, AV receivers. Basically, Pioneer has some general view of what we should do or how we should try to make good products and what are the key elements in there. And essentially it's a combination of technical aspects, making sure that we have the proper technology, integrating it, and making tools available to the users to use that technology properly, and last but not least, making sure that the thing, when it's all combined, is also doing what it's supposed to be doing, and that's what everybody hopefully wants to achieve, that listen to the content the way it was intended to be heard. That's a big challenge. It's easy to say so, and if you would look at all of the AV receivers which you can buy on the market, not only those from Pioneer, and you would open them up these days, you would find that quite a lot of the components, the technical elements, are identical. Why? Because, well, there is a tendency that some companies specialize in certain things, and so you buy components from that company. There's not many options anymore. But still, they all sound different, and that's where these aspects come into play. So that's our general philosophy and our target, how we work. We have some nice Japanese characters for that as well. You can find them in the presentation. Talking specifically about the products, this slide is essentially an overview of what or how AV receivers have evolved and what their position is in the home for users. And what this shows is essentially that there's a lot of new things that have been integrated in the last years, and that goes from, of course, evolutions in the video area, evolutions in the audio domain, going to high resolution audio, but also in how content is being accessed, going from traditional connected sources to file-based playback, which brings you to networking, of course, as one important feature. And last but not least, and I think nobody can deny that, the success of intelligent portable devices, smartphones, tablets, and things like that, that can be used as sources, so playing content that is on these devices, but also as control devices. And that content having the capability to use these products as a value-added element in the whole equation is, of course, an important thing. So that's, I think, important to know. Now, what Pioneer internally, and this is a slide which we used internally, set itself as focus, and every year we have a similar type of content focuses, is for this year is that we wanted, of course, to improve what we call the basic performance, the basic level that we offer in our AV receivers, both in the terms of course, audio. Audio is, after all, the prime original function of a receiver. But also, of course, in the domain of the video, and then last but not least, referring to mobile devices, networking, file playback, connectivity, and playability. So all these elements we have been trying to improve, and hopefully we did so. And this is a funny example of what this might lead to. And this is the example of our top-of-the-line product in our new lineup, which is the SCLX86. Which is actually standing over there next to Yaguchi-san. It can really hook up to about anything and play a lot of content and be used in whatever way you would like to. We don't expect many users to do this in reality, all of it. But since users want to have their own specific capabilities, in the end this probably could be a use case of an AV receiver. Looking a bit more in detail into what has been added or been focused on in the new lineup, at the top of this slide you see the different products, and they go from top of the line to lower in the range. And here you see some keywords regarding to the different aspects that we focus on. A very important one, and I'll mention it here, it's also repeated on many other slides for ourselves, is Class D amplification. You may or you may not know that Pioneer has been playing a pioneering role, why not, in implementing Class D in high-class audio reproduction in multi-channel environments, basically with our AV receivers. And we're already at the 4th or the 5th generation, depending on where you start counting with that. And actually already since last year, but we're further evolving into that. We changed from one platform in Class D to the next platform, and we want to, in the longer term, extend that further down the line, which is quite unique if you look at what you find in this market segment. And it has a lot of benefits in multiple aspects, be it in terms of efficiency of the product, the capability to drive multi-channels or various channels simultaneously, but also in terms of things like ecology aspects, because of course the efficiency of Class D can or should be better than traditional Class AB or whatever type of amplification. So that's an important one. At this generation we bring it down to what is called SE 2022, which basically in terms of reference sort of like means just a €999 class end user price, which is for ourselves a big challenge to do that, and we hope to be able to move the goalpost even further downwards in the future. Of course there's practical improvements like the number of inputs, outputs, and that's of course following what's happening in the market as digital connections become more important. Of course you have to have more of them. Smartphone support, as I mentioned, where not only what used to be the first major successful and spread platform being the Apple or iDevice type of platform, but now also Android connectivity is important, or has always been important, but now also being implemented. In terms of networking, there's various flavors. There's the AirPlay environment, there's DLNA environments, and there may be others in the future. There's Windows 7 is important. As I already said, music file playback, and there one of our goals is to try to avoid user frustration, because everybody is of course nice or happy to be able to buy or download or whatever way you get access to music files, but it's rather frustrating experience if you have a file and you want to play it and it says don't like this codec or cannot handle this bitrate or whatever. So we try to avoid that by trying to implement at least as good as possible level in as many products as we can. As said, controlling devices is a very important aspect, and AV receivers traditionally have been criticized, and rightfully, for not being the most ergonomical when you looked at the remote controls. They were typically like, and still, this is a remote of a plasma display panel, doesn't matter. But anyway, they have lots of buttons and many tiny buttons, with sometimes with dual functions and things like that. And actually it's very nice to see that smart devices with touch screens can sort of overcome all of a sudden these type of problems by allowing us as a developer, manufacturer, to make use of these devices and implement rather different types of way of interaction between the consumer and our products. So that's a positive way how different products can support one another. Of course, there's specific aspects that relate to what we do in terms of audio processing, how we try to improve or enhance or monitor content, be it music or coming from video sources.